Welcome, fellow Toastmasters, to Toastmasters Pathways 101, Completing a Project. It is my pleasure to be here with you today. The topics related to that are going to be learning how to complete the icebreaker project in particular, and I say that because this is how you will complete every project in every level in every path. It will also include logging into your Pathways Basecamp with basic navigation. Secondly, we need to kind of get to know something called this project window, and that's where you access your project. A few basic definitions just to make sure we're on the same page as we go through this video. What is Pathways? Pathways is the main Toastmasters International learning curriculum. Then the word path, what does that mean exactly? A path is one of the 11 separate curricula offered within Pathways. What is Basecamp? Basecamp is the online platform that Pathways uses. And then finally, we're talking about completing this project. What is a project again? This is what includes the speech or speeches and other tasks required for completion and credit. Okay, we're jumping right in. First, we need to access the online Basecamp as we talked about. So we go to Toastmasters.org and we click on Login. Then we type in our member ID or email address, password, and then click Login. Of course, as we're logged in, there are many things we could do at Toastmasters.org, but we're going to click on Pathways in this case because this is what we want to be using. And then, of course, we need to log into Basecamp, which is the online platform that Pathways uses. So we click on Go to Basecamp, and a little further down the screen, you'll be prompted to then click on Go to Basecamp again. Congratulations, you're now logged into Basecamp. We're about to jump in a little further. There's a few terms that I want to show you under that Paths in Learning that you might have just seen a second ago, and we're going to go through that in more detail in a moment, but I just want to make sure you're clear about these terms. First one is called activate. This is what engages the path or project. It's kind of like in your vehicle. If you were to get in there and just kind of turn on the accessories light, but it's not quite cranked over the engine yet, that's kind of what this activate is like. This is only needed for your first time accessing. Then you'll see another term come up called launch. This is what you're going to utilize for starting the project. This is turning that ignition over. And that, as we mentioned previously in the definitions, the project is located within your main curriculum, which is your path. And then if we're talking about your path, instead of now seeing activate, you would see open curriculum. This is what you'll see every time once you've activated your path for the first time. Okay. Just a little further clarification on this, diving into our clarification. Here's that activate for a project. This is a project called Write a Compelling Blog. So we need to activate it for the first time, but then every time after that, you're going to see launch. That's how you access that project. Now the curriculum, or in this case our path, at the time I was doing leadership development, so now, instead of seeing activate, we're going to see open curriculum. Completing your icebreaker project, just again, a useful reminder tip. This is how you will complete every project in every level in every path. We're now at the Basecamp home screen that you've already learned how to get to just a moment ago, and we're going to now, as promised, click on Paths and Learning. In a way, you could almost think of this as paths, meaning this is sort of the book, your own book of all of your projects, and learning. Learning is the projects that you'll be doing. So you could kind of think of it almost like paths and projects, if that's helpful to think of it that way. Here we are at your path, leadership development, in the case for me. We want to open that just like we open a book. Open curriculum. Within that, as mentioned, we have our projects. One of the projects, the first one that you'll do, as a matter of fact, in level 1, if that's what you'd like to do, is icebreaker. That's what many of us do. And at the first time, you'll have to activate it, as we mentioned earlier. I hope that that is clear. But we're now assuming you've activated it, and you'll launch it to access your project. Once you launch this, you're going to have these navigation ideas that we need to be aware of. There's really just a couple of slides I want to show you, and this really encapsulates everything that you need to know with not only the icebreaker, but pretty much every project in every path. You'll see there are 4 indications. Just to the left, there's an arrow, or a chevron as it's sometimes called, to get you to return to the previous page, or just to the right of that, it's another arrow where you would advance to the next page of the project. A little bit lower, you'll see this sort of back and next in that bottom left. If you see that, just simply keep clicking next, next, next until that sequence is done. And then finally in the far right, you'll see this tab if there are further directions, and that's why it's called directions, that you would need to know about, or would like to know about, as a matter of fact. But if you don't want to use any of those, particularly the left and the right chevrons, what you can do to get anywhere, anytime within your project window, which is what we're exploring right now, there's something called the Fast Access Toolbar. I call it that because you can access anything anywhere within the project window, and it's a toolbar. So that's why I call it the Fast Access Toolbar. As promised, you can see these are all the things you could click on with the Fast Access Toolbar. That's what happens when you click on that arrow. It shows these tools, these ways to get to any place within the project window. The reason I also want to show you this is there's actually only 2 things that you need to do to complete your first project. Now, by all means, please, go through the entire thing. However, once you're on to your next path, maybe you've seen some of this before, there's really only 2 things you need to know about to complete your project. The first one is your evaluation. This, for you Toastmasters that have been in it for years, this is rather like the evaluation form that you would give to your fellow Toastmaster to offer an evaluation of your presentation. If you're a new Toastmaster, just please understand that this is the form where your fellow Toastmaster is going to give you feedback and enhance your learning. Where you find this, once you click on My Evaluation, you'll see this page where it says Evaluation Resource. It's kind of a fancy word, but all it means is this is where you're going to find your evaluation form. So you click on that, you have access to that. Instead of, for you Toastmasters that have been in it for a while, instead of the book that you would hand somebody, now that is just a PDF. And in this video, we're not going to go through all the PDF basics, but I hope you understand how that works. Once you have access to this PDF, you would then give it to your evaluator so that they can evaluate your speech. And then this is the part that just clicks it over to where you get credit within Pathways. This is called Assess Your Skills After. This is what completes that project, as we've been calling it, complete a project. This is what Assess Your Skills After looks like. One of the first questions on this one is, I'm confident and calm when speaking in front of groups. And you can see that back and next, right? So since those little dots are, one of them, it's to the far left right now, you would keep going until that sequence was completed by clicking next, next, next. Once you've done that, you'll see the results. If you happen to have done the assess your skills before, you'll see the comparison between the two. One thing that you now want to be aware of is that you want to hit that right chevron, the arrow to the right, one more time. And once you do that, you'll see the congratulations screen. Congratulations, you have completed this project. And you will know this because you'll see the check mark that is circled in that slide right there.